Spring came late to Anchorage this year. Today is April 26th, and there's still a foot of snow on the ground. We haven't had a 50-degree day yet, but we're getting close. I usually transition from candy boards to sugar syrup in mid-April, but I have found that many overwintered colonies seem to prefer sugar to syrup until it warms up, and it took forever to warm up this year. In today's video, I removed the last few candy boards and tell you a little about the individual colonies.
Buzz.
These are Al's bees, and this is the first year he's successfully overwintered a colony. He was skeptical when I told him that with the right gear and the right methods they'd survive, but he's not a skeptic anymore. A little over a week before, I'd advised him to add a little more sugar and a pollen patty. As you can see, he added a lot more sugar, which we now have to remove. I forgot to tell Al to add the pollen patty directly over the inner cover hole. It was kind of hidden in the sugar, which is why they haven't eaten much of it. I start by removing the foam walls of the candy board, then gently remove chunks of sugar and brush the bees off as I go. I always use plain granulated cane sugar. As the sugar absorbs moisture from the colony's respiration, it hardens into chunks. If the colony is healthy, leftover sugar can be saved for next year's candy board. Time to take a quick look below. I don't use wooden inner covers because they are not heat efficient, but Al's approach with a Reflectix inner cover below the wooden inner cover reduces the heat loss. The top box has some capped syrup, but very few bees. The bottom two boxes are packed. Pollen patties work best when they are close to the brood nest, so we'll add them here, then replace the top box. Time to put it all back together, with a top feeder for the sugar syrup we'll add later, and extra insulation to keep the syrup warm. This colony just made it through their third winter. They had some drama last summer. A bear visited, twice. The first time he just gnawed a bit on the corners, but a week later he tried to get inside. I don't know what stopped him. Maybe he was startled, or maybe he got a snoot full of bees that took exception to having their honey stolen. Either way, the ratchet straps prevented total disaster, and I learned my lesson. I installed an electric fence the next day, and I've had no more problems. I was actually able to repair the boxes by piecing together the missing chunks with Gorilla Glue. It can be a bit tricky to get the bees in the candy board back into the hive. In many YouTube videos, they just shake them onto the ground, but doing that with our snow and cold temperatures would kill them. I use the lid or outer cover as a platform. Watch the bees gradually form up and march towards the entrance. I brush the last few onto the landing board, and everybody is home safe. Now it's time to remove the winter shim and clean the bottom board. Alaska winters are long and very cold. For months on end, it's too cold for undertaker bees to keep the bottom board clear. As dead bees pile up, they can completely clog the entrance, which compromises the colony's ability to manage temperature and humidity and can kill them. I use a 2-inch shim with a small opening on top. It's 2 inches above the bottom board, high enough that it can't get clogged. There are a few thousand dead bees on the bottom board. This is normal, especially considering our late spring. The screened bottom board has partially dehydrated them, so they're easily cleaned off. Scraping off the detritus below the bottom board extends the life of the hive stand. Now I can stack everything back on the clean bottom board, add the feeder, and they're good for another week.